Golf Central Update. Brought to you by TaylorMade.
Besides his impressive on-the-course resume, Zach Johnson is also a member of the PGA Tour's Player Advisory Council, and he joins us now. Zach, good to see you, first and foremost. You have been involved in the planning and all the protocols in regards to safety to get the PGA Tour season back going once again. How would you describe where we are right now as far as the protocols go, as play is right around the corner?
Well, I think the bottom line is I'm clearly no expert on any of this. I don't know. I mean, the term unprecedented kind of really holds true right now in any protocol. So, I kind of feel like, we might be kind of a pilot as far as sports go, but I am confident that what the PGA Tour and certainly its health constituents and what the program that they put into place is going to be a good one. Clearly there's no way to mitigate the entire risk. It doesn't matter what profession you're in, doesn't matter what industry you're in, or certainly what environment you're in. We're realistic about that, but I think the program is very, very clear and also certainly touches all points of, where we could be and the two or three kind of bubbles that we're trying to form. And, it's probably as good as it can get. I applaud them for at least talking to the right people and putting a great plan into place. Obviously, the isolation process, if one contracts it, is paramount, and it sounds like they've got a good one in place there too. So, I think it's very evident everybody wants to start playing, and this is going to be the way to do it.
And Zach, I'm sure you obviously dedicated to make sure all the protocols taking place personally, but there's a lot of self-responsibility to make all of this happen. In the conversations that you've had with other players, I'm assuming you feel like everybody's on board here?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't talked to everybody, but in the ones that I've talked to, it seems like everybody's just ready to go out and compete and get it going. So, my guess is we're a pretty big tour. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of obviously players, two staff, faculty. There's a lot of constituents within the PGA Tour, and so I'm on mere assumption here, but there's got to be individuals that have maybe compromised immune systems, or we've got individuals that work for us that are of that age that could be affected, or the age that is most affected, I should say. So I hope and certainly think that they're probably taking even the necessary precautions. But you can't mitigate the entire risk. We know that this thing isn't going away. I shouldn't say we know that. We assume we know that. We don't really know anything, but this thing isn't going away. So we've got to at least try to find a way to work, find a way to get back to some golf normalcy, and I think it's time.
It was interesting. We had Kevin Kisner on last week, and we asked him, by the way, he's part of the PGA Tour Policy Board, and asked him if one player is identified as having COVID-19, maybe that's manageable, but how many players, if are identified at a tournament, would shut the event down? Do you
Right.
have that answer? Do you know?
I don't have that answer. I've spoken with Kiz and some of the other board members, over the last so many odd weeks, and I've talked to our tour staff, our player relations individuals, and even some of our executives, and I don't know if anybody has that answer. Maybe they do. I don't want to assume they do or don't, but no. That's the worst fear, right? But there's also a lot of trust involved that individuals are going to take the proper social distancing. They're gonna do anything they can to alleviate the risk of getting it. Now, I understand that that's probably not entirely 100% possible all the time. The travel from venue to venue is part of it. And then when we get there, that's kind of when I'm actually most confident, because I know the tour is exhausting a lot of resources. At the same time, the tour is also looked into at least one or two, I think two planes from venue to venue so that we can all kind of stay together. And I know a lot of guys are actually traveling together, staying in homes together, and just kind of going from one stop to the next and staying within that little pod, which is wise. I mean, that way you're kind of controlled and you can kind of navigate each week together. Because every location is going to be different. I mean, Fort Worth has a hotel that's able to accommodate. Hilton Head probably does not. And then, there on after, you're trying to figure out housing and that kind of thing. So there's risks involved, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I'm optimistic too. It seems like you guys do have everything in place, and hopefully things will work out and we can talk about competition. And let's talk about that right now. Across the nation, golfers are on the greens putting with the pin in. Now, you're known as one of the better putters on the PGA Tour and have been for a long time. The PGA Tour is going to allow those who want to take the pin out to do so. This may be trivial, but it's a big deal for a lot of players. How impactful is it to give players the option to keep the pin in or take it out, given the circumstances?
Well, I mean, technically with the rules of golf, it isn't a whole lot different. I mean, I guess now we're just able to take it out rather than having to keep it in. It's kind of a switch in, the rules there. But, yeah, I mean, you should have the ability to do whatever you desire. I mean, I obviously have been practicing over this time. I actually prefer to putt on the practice putting green because there's no holes, there's no pins inside the hole. I don't really like having the pin or any sort of anything in there. I prefer just to putt into a hole. So I think you have to give the players that option. I mean, there's probably ways to go about doing that and make it safe. You can disaffect the pin. You can. There's a lot of things you can do, and I think the tour is aware of that. And so, again, you got to give my peers both options.
I want to talk about something that's dear to your heart, and that is the Zach Johnson Foundation. I've seen firsthand how this benefits so many good folks, a lot of them there in Iowa where you're from. You've had to go about your foundation event a different way. Explain what you decided to do.
Yeah, well, no, it's been just like anything. You've had to kind of get clever. You've had to kind of change your mindset, mind frame. You've had to, I guess, pivot and maybe look at things from a different lens. And we're having to do that, probably even through multiple lenses as of late. So yeah, I mean, hosting a gala that's 700 to 900 people deep is not realistic and probably irresponsible. So, and that typically takes place in the latter part of July. So we've changed and we've decided to do a virtual gala. And as of right now, that's going to be June 6th, this coming Saturday. And what we've decided to do is do it online. We've got a couple of different things. We're the main point is we want to get our message across that even during COVID times, even with the schools shut down, our kids are still there, their families are still there, and we still have every desire and motivation to keep helping them in any way possible. We cannot do our typical summer Kids on Course University camp in the summer because they can't congregate. So now we've changed and pivoted, like I said, to more actually basic essentials like food and that sort of thing. So it's been extremely humbling and fruitful, just because I know that we're getting good things done in my hometown, but we still need help. And so this virtual gala is probably one of those ways we can do it. We love the fact that we have a great community with great kids and great families. We love the fact we're able to go in there and serve. And it's just one of those ways, for me to go back to my hometown and provide a town that gave me so much and help them like they helped me. So I hope, my prayer is that we're able still to do it this coming Saturday, where we're trying to be very sensitive to what's going on in the world right now. We serve a lot of kids and families that are directly, I guess you'd say, oppressed and have been. I can't relate to that personally, but I do know that I want to walk alongside of them and love on them and certainly come along and be sympathetic to it, be compassionate to it, and listen. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep certainly an ear to the pulse of as to what's going on in my community and around the nation. It ain't easy. I don't like it. I don't really fully understand it, but I do know that as a God-fearing man and as a Christian, that it's my responsibility to try to understand it, listen, and then also to be there for them. I mean, I'm all about that. So we feel that it's still time for us to keep serving, because that's what we're called to do. That's the right thing to do, and that's what we're going to do.
Well said. I applaud you on the Audible this year and what you've done over the years with your foundation. Finally, Zach, I want to get to the Ryder Cup. You've been heavily involved with that event for a number of years as a player, assistant. This year, we got some tough times, and there are a handful of players that have said that they don't want to play the Ryder Cup if there are no fans, and prominent players led by number one in the world, Rory McIlroy. If we can't have fans on the grounds at Whistling Straight, should we have a Ryder Cup?
Yeah, that's a tough one, Todd. If I'm a player, which I'm not currently on that team, technically nearly no one is, I would say no, we shouldn't. And I would say it because, in my experience, when you try to explain what the Ryder Cup is all about, outside of the competition, the drama that the competition can provide, the competitive nature of the competition, the second ingredient in that recipe is the fans. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's here or if it's over there, it's the fans. And that's the beauty of it. So it's hard for me to fathom having a Ryder Cup without fans. I say that, but I am fortunate and glad that I don't have to make that decision. I mean, my guess is that decision will be made for us, probably at a local or even state level. I mean, there's mandates that, could be lifted or prevent us from doing so. I mean, that's the part that I don't have any idea. I know Steve Stricker and certainly the PGA of America are, keeping the temperature on that and certainly gauging it on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. But there's a lot that goes. I mean, whether you're talking about setup, actually at Whistling Straits, a lot of factors that are involved right now that obviously I'm not privy to, and nor do I need to be. So, in my mindset right now is I'm trying to help Steve Stricker and trying to help him put together the best team or the best plan going forward. And there's a lot that goes on to that. We've got Zoom calls by the week. We've got discussion and text, almost daily pertaining to it. So I'm enjoying it. I'm relishing it. I just hope we play.
Indeed, I'm right there with you, Zach. As always, I appreciate your insight and honesty, and look forward to seeing you out on the course very, very soon.
Yeah, likewise, Todd. Thanks for having me, buddy.